Welcome to the first modular material that we've got here for BSB151. What we're going to do is by starting to think about what's the right thing to do. I mean, that's a lot of what law governance is about, right? And so to get a handle on that, we want to look at some different dimensions of what is right, okay? So we're going to have at least three ways of looking at a particular problem before us. One, what would ethics say about what's the right thing to do? The second bit is what would the law say about what we should do? We're going to deal with some specific areas there. And the third thing is then what kind of strategically for the organisation that we're in charge of, because we are doing a business degree, should we undertake? And in that sense, there's a lot of talk around governance and what the right way to run a business actually is. So they're the three lenses that we're bringing together in this subject. The ethical approach to what you've got to do, the legal approach to what you've got to do, and then a governance approach to what you've got to do when you're in business. So in the first module, what we do is we look at some ways of thinking about the problem. It's primarily based upon the idea of logic and ethics and how ethics fits with or does not fit with logic in terms of deciding what the right thing to do is. So to begin looking at that, we've got to understand what ethics is, what it isn't, and the relationship between ethics and the organisation. So what you can tell is we need to get some definitions out of the way to help us understand the meaning of ethics and morality before we can look at how we actually make decisions and the role of ethics in that. And what we're going to find is that there are multiple factors that actually play a role in how we make an ethical decision. We can't deal with all of them in this course, but we're going to deal with some key ones, particularly those forces that we might see more of when we're in a business. Okay. Also, when you're in business, you're going to run across things called standards. They could be a code of conduct. It could be a legal standard. There's all different kinds of standards out there meant to guide our behaviour in business. And so we want to understand the relationship between those standards and what might be seen as the ethical thing to do, because they're not necessarily interchangeable. When we start looking at ethics, it brings a particular challenge in mind, and that's ethical relativism. So the challenge with ethical relativism is whether you perceive that there is an ethical answer to a problem. Like, is there truly only one ethical way to approach a particular problem? That's quite a complex question, and we're going to spend a little bit of time understanding that the relationship in order to help us understand both context, our own thinking, and by this we mean things like the systems, the culture, the policy that's in place in an organisation. How does that affect and relate to your own ethics and values? And in particular, what do we know about what happens to people's behaviour when maybe there's a clash in that situation? So as you can tell, there's a fair bit to get through in this particular module. And what I thought we might actually be able to start with is a little bit of a problem to help us think about how ethics might not provide a simple solution to some of the quandaries that we're going to face in business.